What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at American Pie Presents Bandcamp, the first installment into the American Pie spin-off series. Bandcamp is about Matt Stifler, the younger brother of Steve Stifler, who is sent to Bandcamp in order to change his rebellious ways, as Matt is trying too hard to pretty much take up the mantle that Steve Stifler has left behind. So yeah, that is the overall plot line of Bandcamp. Let's talk about it for a little bit. Now, Bandcamp, like I said, is the first installment into the American Pie spin-off series, and to me, this is actually one of the better. This is actually one of the better spin-off movies. I've always enjoyed Bandcamp for what it was. When you compare it to the previous three films, Bandcamp is definitely a weak link, and the humor is not as funny as it is in the first three movies. The humor in this movie goes well beyond what the first three movies did. As this movie is much more raunchier, the humor is much more grosser too, to the point where it stops being funny and it just becomes obnoxious. But Bandcamp does have some good things in it. It's not entirely bad. It does have some overall decent things in it that I do enjoy. I like the character of Matt Stifler. I like the fact that I like the fact that Matt is trying way too hard to be like his brother Steve. While a lot of Steve's friends do not like him, Matt actually has people who do want to like him, but he makes it hard for people to like him because he's too busy trying to be like Steve instead of being his own person. And this movie kind of sees Matt's development. It sees him break away from Steve's shadow and pretty much become his own person. And we see that development throughout the course of the movie. And I thought the actor who played Matt Stifler, I thought he was fine. I liked him in the role. He did a good job at making me believe that he is the younger brother Matt. Of course, Matt was introduced in the first two American Pie movies, so now he gets to take center stage. And for the most part, I thought the actor did a great job in the role. Did a really good job in the role. I like the chemistry that he has with most of the cast members, and I just like how he interacts with just Bandcamp as a whole. Like he feels like a fish out of water, like he doesn't want to be here, and it clearly shows. So yeah, I enjoyed all that. I like that stuff. I thought it was good. The actress who played Elise, who is the love interest in this movie, I thought she was fine as well. The characters of Matt and Elise have a childhood history, and it's actually through Elise where we find out that Matt has always had more of a sensitive side to him. But whenever he was around Steve, Matt would become Stiff Meister Jr. and just pretty much torture Elise. So I like how we get to see Matt through Elise's eyes. Like Elise knows who the real Matt is, while Matt still puts on the facade of who he thinks he is. I like that. I like that little dynamic between Matt and Elise. Like Elise is the one who grounds Matt. That was good stuff. The other actors who played Big O and Chloe, I thought they were fine in their roles as well. Jason Earls, who plays Ernie, who is a newbie to Bandcamp, I thought he was fine. I actually enjoyed the scenes between Matt and Ernie where Matt pretty much befriends Ernie, though Matt has a motive because he pretty much wants to make an amateur porn starring everyone at Bandcamp, which is the catalyst for him wanting to go there. But I do like the genuine friendship that developed between Matt and Ernie. It was good, and the two actors are really enjoyable. Eugene Levy, who once again makes his fourth appearance as Jim's dad, as he plays the macro of Bandcamp, who is pretty much a morale officer. And I like how Jim's dad tries to break through to Matt and tries to get Matt to be one of the people. Don't be like your brother Steve. Being like your brother Steve was who he was, and a lot of the people who he thought were his friends didn't really like him very much. But Jim's dad could see that people want to like Matt, but Matt just makes it hard for people to like him. And I like how we got to see that through Jim's dad's eyes. And as usual, Eugene Levy is always funny in the role. And it's actually through Jim's dad that we find out that Michelle is pregnant with child, as Michelle was originally supposed to be the macro, but Jim's dad volunteered to fill in once Michelle got pregnant. I like all that stuff. That stuff is great. Chris Owen returns as Sherman the Shermanator, who is a guidance counselor at East Great Falls. And he's pretty much the one who sends Matt to Bandcamp after Matt causes a ruckus at the beginning of the movie that sabotages a band performance. And that's what leads him to go to Bandcamp. It's all because of Sherman the Shermanator. So always fun to see Sherman in an American Pie movie. So no complaints with that. So So yeah, I like the movie for what it was. The movie also kind of has a sort of villain with this guy called Vanderkamp, who is pretty much the villain, the antagonist of the movie, who is constantly at odds with Matt. Their robbery was okay. I didn't mind it, but I didn't really hate it. I really don't think the American Pie movies needs to have an antagonist or a rival to go through. These movies should be coming of age movies where where these high school kids are on a journey of self discovery. Like this movie, at heart, it is pretty much Matt Stifler's journey of self discovery and him becoming his own person. I think the whole him having a rivalry with someone else is kind of forced and wasn't really needed, though it did provide some decent funny gags. This as is Matt's attempts to try and make it an amateur porn because Steve Stifler is making amateur porn as well, so Matt wants to join the family business. So you get a couple of laughs out of that as well. And I also like the whole I also like the whole setup of this movie taking place primarily at band camp, which is just really really fun. Band camp was always mentioned in the previous three movies. In the second movie, we got to see it a little bit, but in this movie, we have an entire movie set there, so we actually get to see how band camp is. And band camp is pretty much like its own little world. It's kind of cool, and it's kind of cool and fun to see that. So I like that. I like how this movie, it paid respect for the first three movies, and it also tried to do something a little bit different by changing the setting up, but it still had the same spirit as the first three movies. So I give Bandcamp a lot of credit for doing that, at least. Now, if you were to tell me, hey, did the characters of Bandcamp resonate with you more than the characters from the original trilogy? No. Honestly, truthfully, with the exception of Matt Stifler, none of these characters are really memorable. I mean, yeah, they do have some good funny gags here and there, but these characters will not be mentioned in the same breath as Jim or Oz or Kevin or Steve or Finch. But as they are in this film, I thought they were just okay. They're not memorable, but they're just okay. They do got some funny things to them here and there. Yeah, so pretty much those are all my overall thoughts on American Pie Presents Band Camp. I do enjoy this movie. I find it to be overall a decent follow-up, a decent start to the spin-off series. It does to me, it does a decent job at preserving the original trilogy by bringing in those legacy characters now, like Sherman and Jim's dad. But it also tries to tell its own story with Matt Stifler, and I give it credit for doing so. So yeah. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Bandcamp a solid 6.5 out of 10. I like this movie and I enjoy it. Okay, so those are my thoughts on Bandcamp. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.